Happy New Year 2021. Welcome back to the Spacebook. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Type 40 and welcome back to Type Over 40. We didn't plan on doing this. We thought we were going to have a quiet New Year. We did. We did. How wrong were we? Yes. Anything going on in the news? Anybody? How could we not comment on this? How could we not comment on the story that everybody in Doctor Who fandom is talking about, that the newspapers are talking about, and that you're probably talking about and thinking about, maybe even smiling about? It's just a guess. I suspect that you, like, I'd say it's 3/4 of Doctor Who fandom, are smiling at this news, in inverted commas news, because it isn't news yet. It is still just a rumour. But yes, the nightmare couldn't continue forever, could it? And here to talk about it with me, how could I do this alone? I couldn't possibly not share this euphoria, this joy. She's here. Yes, it's a starry-eyed girl, Sarah Graham. Hello, Sarah. Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Oh, what a brilliant start to the year.
Just try and contain your glee. there could be fans of Jodie Whittaker watching this. Both of them could be watching this for all we control ourselves, haven't we? So yes, first of all, 2021, Happy New Year. How are you generally? Okay?
I'm doing okay. I could have been better after last night's lockdown announcement, but
yes,
it is what it is. But thankfully, we got this little, I don't want to say gift, but the promise of a gift. Shall we say that?
Keep it close to your heart. I want to believe. I am a believer. I tell you what, I mean, everybody knows what we're talking about already. Just the very idea that this long, dark tunnel, that we could be reaching the end, it's just like a massive weight lifting off me. And it's not a weight that's been there in its entirety for the whole of the last 3 years. It's a weight that I've gradually felt bear more and more and more. The longer that she has stayed in this role, which she is completely unsuited to, that much is very, very clear by now. But not only that, but the longer that the ideology, the editorial standpoint, and the drive towards beating us around the head with whatever they want to that particular week, the longer that persists, the more I just don't want to watch this show anymore, Sarah. And, okay, Doctor Who is about more than a TV show. We've been saying this. That's what Type 40 is all about. We say this constantly. But even so, we all want to watch the show, don't we?
Yeah. And I mean, this festive special, nothing festive about it. It's the first one that I've not watched. I just couldn't bring myself to watch it. And everything that I've heard so far, I feel completely justified in it. I wasn't going to give the BBC a rating. And I could go to the trouble to torrent it, go find it in other means. I don't. I just don't care. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I mean, for people who don't, I've spoken about this online, on air before. I gave up my TV license last year, and I don't regret it at all. I'm certainly not going to go and get a TV license again just to watch an hour of something, which, let's face it, odds are I'm not going to like it.
Yeah. I'm the same. I cancelled mine, and it's not worth it. And season 13. I mean, we'll get onto that, I'm sure, later in the conversation. But it's not worth it. It's not worth me, reapplying for it and paying for it and giving them more money for this garbage.
How I feel about it, Sarah, is that I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. That'll be a decision I make at the time. And, obviously family members have still got TV licenses and whatnot. And, whatever. But and there are people out there, thank you, the people out there who've sent me links and said, what you can see it here, you can watch it there, by whatever means. I really do appreciate that. But no, it's a choice. It's a personal choice. I've just got no interest. I will have to watch it at some point. It's out on home video. It's out on DVD and Blu-ray in the next few weeks. I will. I'm duty bound to review this for the Type 40 podcast. Of course I am. and I will do that with as clear a head and as good heart and as much generosity as I can possibly muster. So again, that's another thing. That's another one. I will cross that bridge too when I come to it. But yes, New Year's Day. Why get a brand new year off to a miserable start? That's the simple decision that I had to make, Sarah.
Yeah. Especially
I don't regret it. I don't regret it.
The year that we've had, we wanted something bright, fun, escapism.
Yeah.
But of course, this isn't what we're going to get from Chibnall, and I know that because it wasn't, a recently filmed thing. It was filmed alongside Series 12, so I knew it was just going to be more of the same.
Exactly.
And there wasn't time to do any reshoots or add anything. And it's why put yourself through that? There's plenty of other things you can watch. Go and watch The Mandalorian. Go and watch Cobra Kai.
Exactly that, and that's exactly what I did. Yeah, why would I watch that when Cobra Kai had dropped that very day? Come on, get real. If you want televisual joy, and whatever you did watch on New Year's Day, even if you did watch Doctor Who, there's no judgment here, not ever. I do get it. I think it's a very personal thing, and I've joked about this. Some of what I've just said, I was being deliberately playful. It wasn't an easy decision for me to make, and it wasn't an easy habit to break either. That compulsion, that want to support this brand and this show that has, and Sarah, I've been saying this since 2018 because I've never supported the idea of the Doctor changing gender. I always felt it was a gimmick, and surprise, surprise, I feel completely vindicated in that they have used it. They've certainly used it as a gimmick, but my attitude about it from 2018 onwards was that, this show's been good to me. It's given me so much over the decades. Maybe I should find it within me to extend that generosity and to push through it and to show up to support my team the way that you would a struggling, say, a football team that had been battened down from the Premier League to Division 1, then Division 2, and was constantly failing and falling in its fortunes. You'd still go and show up for it, wouldn't you, Sarah?
Yeah, well, I felt the same. I always felt like the Doctor should stay male. But, it was filmed in my hometown. I've said this many times. Jodie's a Yorkshire woman like myself. I thought, there's some loyalty there. It's a loyalty to the show. I will give it a chance. And I was getting to the point where I was tuning in every week just out of habit and thinking, it's got to get better. Maybe next week it'll get better. Maybe next week she'll get a moment, And then it was, maybe this season it'll happen. And it's just, we're 2 series in now.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, I can't keep doing this to myself. But, I do get it. I would, I'd never call anybody out for watching it when it's been part of your life for as long as it is. You do feel that loyalty to the show, whatever happens to it. And I feel sorry for all the people that tuned in and have been disappointed.
Yes, and invested so wholeheartedly in it. I mean, a lot of the times to obsessive, even by Doctor Who fans' standards, obsessive quotas, and they've resorted to really some quite extreme behaviour to follow through on that and to defend this present production team, this present cast. And to hold that line, even in the face of absolute abject and complete and utter failure. I don't think that if you were to hold up a subject, an example of something creatively failing, this is the textbook example from top to toe. It's all there. It's unarguable. And yet there are people this very day over on certain social media platforms insisting, that this person, that this era, it has made a difference. It has defined this. It has given people hope. It's been a shining light. Get real. We were all watching. We were all there. We saw.
Well, maybe they're watching something different to us. I mean, I'm happy for them.
Watching with their eyes closed.
I can't see it.
If I'm sure if you watch Doctor Who with your eyes closed and your fingers in your ears, and you've been doing so since autumn 2018, it's probably been amazing. You've been on this tremendous, all-encompassing journey. But in reality, it's just been deathly disappointing, excruciatingly bad, and sinking in its production values. And the longer it's gone on, really, the more it sort of made your ears bleed with its absolutely infuriating promotion of partisan politics, gender politics, a very specific ideology, and in telling us which side of the aisle the good people should be on. And this is right across, and even going so far as to break the fourth wall to tell us, to have our hero supposedly tell us how horrible we are. No. And lots of people, I think people started dropping off with this from week 4 from Arachnids in the UK, week 4 of series 11, and they clearly never went back.
It's interesting that you bring that up, Dan, because one of the most, the things that I've been laughing at the most is the fact that they've chosen this festive special to harken back to one of the characters from that episode.
Here's a reminder of all the things you hated the most. So they got the guy back in, who basically, he was a sort of a metaphor, and he symbolized how they used him. They used him to symbolize the whole of the American population, to tar everybody with this. It was, we're used to them on the BBC. We are used to the BBC doing that to the British viewing public, but to actively do that to an international audience, and our biggest international supporter, with many friends of the show and friends of ours in that territory in North America, and to specifically target them, to target you. And understandably, the American viewers, they did not take kindly to it. And that was when the rot really started with them. But I think that was when when Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who, that week 4, was when he took the crutches away for his vision of the show to gain its footing. Because let's face it, the Rosa thing, that, and I won't go into that again. I expect you don't want to either. Whatever you think of Rosa, it was probably the last time that the general public actually talked. There was a conversation around Doctor Who, a potentially productive conversation. If that was the last time Doctor Who felt like it mattered, and from week 4 onwards, it's just sank further and further and further. And so to bring him back for that special, along with the mental health angle. Now, I know that a couple of people have made videos about this. I've seen certain boasts about the mental health angle to the story in Revolution of the Daleks. I haven't seen it, so I don't know where it went in the end. But I mean, when I see it, I'm going to be looking for it now, because when we reviewed "Can You Hear Me" earlier, the series 12 episode, that was again totally tone deaf, very crude in the way that it approached that subject matter. And just like with Mr. Big Trump in Arachnids in the UK, it got a massive amount of complaints, didn't it, Sarah?
So again, reference "Can You Hear Me" again. That was such another winner, Chibnall.
Yeah, I tell you, it's to bring together all the things that we hated the most. And understandably, we hung in there for all of Series 12, as I would imagine that a great many of you did too. And, we're reviewing it on the podcast. You were reviewing it with Gary at Nerdrotic too, weren't you? So we were in the trenches. We were taking the bullets. We were taking the fire. But there was, by the finale, to be honest, even just before the finale, I was pretty much done, but the finale really pushed us over the edge. And the last 10 months, it's been Doctor Who, for me personally, Sarah, it's been what I have found within myself to enjoy with yourself, with our other friends here on Type 40 and Type 40 Live, and to sort of reconnect with my fandom the way that I did in the 90s. How have you got through the last 10 months?
Get the same thing, doing these streams and, the podcasts and going on other people's streams, making friends. I've been reconnecting with Classic Who recently. I've been looking at a lot of Bob Holmes stuff because I've been doing a
Yes.
writer stream with Blue Bonnet Hoovian, so I'll give her a shout out.
Hi, Blue.
And that's made me so happy because it's good Who. It's escapism. It's putting a smile on my face. It's keeping me going. On the countdown to Christmas, I rewatched the Christmas specials of New Who. I didn't watch Twice Upon a Time. I left that one. But all the one again, and it is a bit sad.
Have you seen 13 though? Have you seen 13? The Unwoke Cyberman's recut of Twice Upon a Time.
No, I need to. I've seen you stream about it, so yeah, I need to do it.
Yeah. If you're out there, Unwoke Cyberman, actually, we would be careful what we wish for, because I think if he turned nasty, if he does come back, he might not be so agreeable. I don't know. But yes, if you're out there and you haven't seen my conversation with the Unwoke Cyberman about his cut of Twice Upon a Time, you can look for that. It'll be in the same playlist as this video and over on the Space Books channel. It'll be there emblazoned. You can't miss it. It was one of our Christmas episodes. But yeah, all those specials, to remind yourself of cozy Christmases past and the things that we liked about the show. You've got to use the tools which we've been left with, haven't you? That's how I've looked at it. I've been reveling in Doctor Who fandom's creative side, creative projects, both things that have been published professionally and the expanded universe stuff. Big Finish, there's been some great Big Finish stuff this year. I know that some in the fandom really don't agree. I understand some of it has been at the other end of the spectrum. I think I've been quite lucky. I've cherry picked and I've picked the good stuff, so I've enjoyed that. But I've also enjoyed several things that are going on for all that I say about Twitter. Twitter has got this wonderful creative side. Lots of people doing really interesting things over there. Clayton Hickman, if you're out there, for example, and the account Doctor Who 1980. So it's mostly based on old stuff, but so yeah, I've been enjoying all that, and sort of coming to terms, I think, Sarah, with what Doctor Who was going to have to mean to me for the foreseeable future, and coming to terms with it, and that. Plus making that decision, as we both did a couple of days ago, that we just weren't going to, with the best will in the world, and with no malice, for all that we say about Chris Chibnall, no malice, just to let it be.
So it felt like a bereavement in a way.
Yeah.
When you get to that stage, you get to that point where you can't bear to see anything because it'll remind you of it, and then you give it some space, and then tentatively you start to remember things, and you remember the good things. And I think I feel like that I'm in that stage now where it's I can rewatch what came before and it doesn't upset me. I can still enjoy it, and I'm even more appreciative, I think, as well. The memories that I do have. But yeah, so that's how I feel like I'm dealing with it. But it is hard, when it's been with you for so long. And it isn't just a TV show. I hate that argument. It really isn't.
I completely agree with you. I had to talk with somebody about that the other day. I don't have it out with people. No laughing at the back. I don't have it out with people very often. But I was told very fiercely by this guy, who is, he's been at the fandom for several years. It's just a TV show. If you genuinely believe that, then I just can't relate to that at all.
If you really believe that, then you're not a true geek. It's something that's in your blood. It's a lifestyle.
Sarah, I can accept that something is just a TV show to anybody, certainly to the man or woman in the street. And to be fair, if people decide that, how much they're into the fandom, if they want to come and hang out with a bunch of Doctor Who fans on Facebook, for example, for an hour a week and skim through a group, that's fine. That's fine. If that's all it means to you, that's fine. But don't think that your personal connection with the show or the fandom is the only healthy one to have, the only reasonable one to have, and is completely universal, because it really isn't. It means different things to different people, which has been the problem with, I think that's what Chris Chibnall doesn't understand. And that's why this era doesn't work. That's why Jodie Whittaker's interpretation of the character doesn't work either. It's this fundamental misunderstanding of the job, the job in front of them, the task at hand, the business model, and the place in popular culture that Doctor Who occupies. And it's effectively, the entire House of Cards has come tumbling down. Well, it wasn't a House of Cards, was it? Come to think of it, it was fairly sturdy. So, a gust of wind will blow down a House of Cards, but it took a
shell. And it became an empty shell the moment that Chibnall came in. Well, both of them, because I know a lot of people have been saying it's not Jodie's fault. Yeah, she's not entirely blameless. I do see her as a double act with Chibnall. The friends, they've got this, the political beliefs align. She's not blameless at all.
She's a grown woman. She's nearly 40 years of age, and she's been acting for over 2 decades. If she doesn't know when she's not getting there, when it's not happening, then she's either in the wrong line of work or she's got the wrong people around her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that she's got a tongue in her head. God, do we ever know that? Some of the stupid things that this woman has said. She's got a tongue in her head. She should ask for help, ask for coaching, ask for the scripts to be looked at again. Christ knows they've had enough time to making 10 episodes of. They've had the time to put the work in, and they are for all that I can see, this is one lazy production team, and Chris Chibnall is the very worst showrunner on British TV, maybe even world TV, and I would die on that hill. But apart from that, I don't care.
Well, I mean, I would put him second, because for me it's Alex Kurtzman. That's only because he's managed to do it with two, he's done it with Discovery and Picard.
That's a fair comment.
Chibnall is nearly there, isn't it? It's Timeless Children. It's like neck and neck now.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. So who, let me know in the comments section, of course, who is the world's worst showrunner? Is it Team Kurtzman or is it Team Chibnall? We want to know. We need to know this. Let's start off the new year with a decision on this once and for all. And who of Kurtzman or Chibnall would win in a fight? I don't know. They both wear glasses, don't they? So we'd have to. That does sort of even things out. So you obviously can't hit somebody wearing glasses. They have to take the glasses off, I suppose, or whichever sort of whatever quarter that one would be given would also be given to the other. I wonder who would win in a fight, Chris Chibnall, Alex Kurtzman. We need to know these things. Before we get too deep into the actual news / rumour, let's just remind people exactly what it is that this is here for. This is Type Over 40. And we do this. This is a before show, after show, and an in-between show to the Type 40 podcast that we put out from the Spacebook for the Fandom Podcast Network. We've been doing this for nearly 3 years now. God, that's unbelievable. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Podbean. We've got our own feed now. We're all over Pandora, which I don't even know what that is because we can't get it in the UK, but I hear it's amazing. So we're over there too. There's new episodes coming at you most weeks. The third season's just started. We've had some fantastic success with that. So if you haven't heard, look for it. That's coming to the Spacebook YouTube channel this week. We've got some great episodes coming your way, and lots of further plans, exciting plans for the rest of 2021. I can say that confidently, Sarah, that they are exciting and they are coming because a lot of them have already been recorded. We're well into recording with you, Rob.
Yeah, we don't sit around, do we?
No. Can't wait for people to hear. And this very day, this very morning, people were asking me, Dan, you lazy bastard, where are the live streams? Because between September and Christmas last year, we got together, didn't we, on a Tuesday afternoon, more often than not, with a group of friends and companions to shoot the shit and talk all things Doctor Who, sometimes for a couple of hours. We had tremendous fun, but it sort of came out of nowhere, didn't it, Sarah? Type 40 Live. We did a sort of a one-off show. I won't even say a pilot, a one-off show an event where we invited several people, some of the biggest names and biggest voices in Doctor Who fandom from specifically across YouTube. We invited them in and had a big live stream. Gary from Nerdrotic was here. Bowlestrek was here, the big bad Bowlestrek, and Blue Bonnet Hoovin and people like that. So really interesting, really distinctive people who have very particular takes. They came along. But yeah, as the autumn rolled on, we just sort of started doing it again. And before we knew it, it was a thing, and people seem to like it. So there are going to be more. We're coming back very, very soon. But in the meantime,
if you keep liking it, we'll just keep doing it.
People keep encouraging us. Yeah, we're going to keep doing it. I'm sorry. Yeah, but in the meantime, if you want to find out if you've never seen these videos, you're wondering what it is we're talking about, this is what you've got to look for. There's a whole playlist on the channel at the moment. These are our first 10 live streams. We had a blast making these. Some of them are very specific hooks, as I'm sure you probably get the picture from the graphics. We had Bob Baker, of course, the legendary Bob Baker was in to talk about his creation, K9, and he was there with Paul Tams, who's the executive producer on all things K9 now. And we've had, who else have we had in? We've had various guests, again, from across podcasting, from across YouTube, just to talk really about Doctor Who generally. We've celebrated anniversaries and we've celebrated Christmases, and it was a lot of fun. But yes, season 2 of that is coming up. We're going to tweak the format a little bit, but we're not going to change it too much because we know what people like and we enjoyed it too. So that's the crux of that.
Speaking of Bob Baker, Dan, my book came. It has arrived.
I'm waiting on mine. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. In fact, let's get you big up on screen. Let's have a look at the splendor. Turn it to the side. That's a thick one, isn't it?
It is. And then inside we've got limited edition, number 46 out of 200. And it's signed by the lovely Bob Baker himself. Wow. I will treasure this.
How fantastic.
This was the only Doctor Who related Christmas present I got this year, which is unheard of because I usually get loads of things. I didn't even get a calendar. I got a Mandalorian calendar. I got a Baby Yoda Grogu calendar.
See, we can laugh about these things, can't we? But yeah, things have started to look up though, because as I'm sure you're all aware, when was it? On Sunday evening, this news story broke. Let's get this up on screen for everybody. So yeah, here we are. These are the words. I don't know who that gentleman is. Who on earth is that? He doesn't seem very happy, does he?
One of the 50 million other doctors.
Yes, he's going to have his moment, whoever that is. But yes, this is how it broke. Doctor Who star Jodie Whittaker quits. That's a typical sort of tabloidy word, isn't it? Quits. After 3 years as Time Lord. Doctor Who bosses are planning for the Time Lord's 14th regeneration after Jodie Whittaker decided she will leave after the next series, which airs in the autumn in the UK later this year. And they go on to say all the usual bump where they talk around their hat for a little while before giving us the perennial, mysterious insider's view. It's all very hush-hush. But it is known on set that Jodie is leaving, and they are gearing up for a regeneration here. Her departure is top secret, but at some point over the coming months, the arrival of the 14th Doctor will need to be filmed. It's all very exciting. You're telling me. I got ridiculously excited reading this. I got tipped off about it a few hours earlier, but I turned off my Wi-Fi. So if you are, you know who you are, who sent me the heads up that this was coming. I do appreciate it. Yeah, I was off the ball a little. But,
I got the tip off, but I was already asleep.
But of course, when you read it,
it's still yet to be confirmed. It's looking more and more like, and the longer the BBC leaves it, which is what they tend to do. Even the Radio Times, I've mentioned it, but I have got a little bottle of bubbly here for when it is confirmed. This is the little one because obviously Jodie's only part of the problem.
Yes.
And then I've got my big champagne for when Chibnall, which I'll be saving.
I like your style. Sarah. Yeah, the fact is that this hasn't been confirmed by anybody. It is just a rumor, and it's a rumor we've heard before. But I think this time, because late last summer we did hear this. Certain people out there in the fandom believe this to be true. It got out, and it was flat denied at the time. But this time nobody's denying this. At Radio Times, and specifically, I think it was Hugh Fullerton. There's a surprise. The man who gets paid by the grovel, doesn't he? Hugh Fullerton reached out directly to them to say, what's going on? Is there any truth in this? And they actually they replied, but only with a non-reply, with we refused to comment at this time. Now, before last year, we got a flat denial to this. Now we're getting the refusal to comment. Now call me an optimist. To me, that points in one direction, and that this could be true. So the question is, Sarah, I'm inclined to believe this. And I've been on social media, and there are people saying, if it came from a reputable source, I may believe it. How many times do the Mirror need to get this stuff right? For the last 3 or 4 years, time after time. Exactly. Time after time. You're right, it does. It stretches back that far, but time after time after time, the Daily Mirror have got this right several times. In fact, I can only think of one time they got it wrong, and that was when they'd taken a story off Gallifrey base. Every other time, and they did credit fan source, but every other time when it's been from this insider, it's been proven to be bang on. So I'm inclined to believe this, Sarah. What are your thoughts? Why do you think it feels different this time? Oh, that's a bit of a pun. Didn't mean to. Feels different this time.
No, I do believe it's true, and that's not just because I want it to be true. It's a combination of things. COVID. It's the 3 years. My thought was that whether she was good or bad, especially if she was bad, which she is, they were going to spin it out to 3 years so they can say, oh, she's not the worst doctor in the world because she's done the same as Troughton and Davison and Matt Smith and everybody else. This 3-year rule. Basically to save face. It is coming, and also because of the time with the contracts running out, they're clearly not being renewed. I'm more interested in is she quitting, or was she made to, was she sent her packing orders? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, earlier on in the autumn, Jodie Whittaker was interviewed. And I'm not really sure when this interview had taken place, because obviously a lot of the promotional work, a lot of the publicity work for this special was done months and months ago. When it was filmed, they do a lot of it on set or really close afterwards, because that's the nature of making television, isn't it? This casts of TV shows, they often separate and go off and do other things, so they can't get them together for these things. But during the autumn, they had that big launch for HBO Max. And so they had got Jodie and Bradley Walsh, and I think Madeleine Gill. They did get them all together, and we did get a quote from her about it, which was something like that she was asked. So this has been 3 or 4 months ago. To even question an endpoint to Doctor Who would be too upsetting. She told the Daily Telegraph I had the idea that fame from Doctor Who would be like that Notting Hill image of Rhys Ifans. That's when he opens the door in front of the hordes of paparazzi. But it wasn't. If you bump into a Whovian, it genuinely makes both your days. And then she talked around her hat for a little while and said the kind of things, I suppose, perfectly pleasant things. But she said that the idea of leaving the role behind was too difficult to think about, and she wasn't looking at other roles for the time being. But a lot of things can change in a short period of time.
This was recorded in 2019 then, presumably.
This
special was filmed in 2019.
Yeah.
So well, a lot can happen in 2 years. A lot can happen in a year. Let's face it.
Because they thought that when Series 12 came along, they thought that would solidify this take on Doctor Who, and specifically this lead with the viewing public, and they would really sort of mark out their version of Doctor, because they started to bring in the elements from past Doctor Who, didn't they? So they were obviously very confident with what they were doing, and they thought that was going to seal the deal, but it didn't. The ratings, that's the thing. The ratings slid off the proverbial cliff. It was an absolute and total disaster. It became a standing joke as the most PC show on TV. Her performance flailed around more clueless than ever. She was getting worse as she was going along, not better. And by April, the viewing public were totally over it. The fandom, even people who boarded the show with Jodie Whittaker, were completely over it. They didn't want to know. So the idea that definitely reached their ears. So the idea that it hasn't made a difference, it hasn't shaped their decisions along the way. Of course, it must have done. Now I did read, and this is another thing that gets to me. Of course, the one episode that the point in my life after 44 years where I decide I'm not going to watch Doctor Who with Revolution of the Daleks, where I'm out, I'm done. They introduce a new companion and call it Dan. What's going on?
I thought of that.
Come on, Chris. If you were going to pay me a tribute,
somebody to Photoshop your face onto John Bishop, because that will make me so happy.
Somebody out there will. One of you will, won't you? Yeah, but what can I say? Chris, Matt, Piers, if you're watching, a Christmas card would have done. I would have accepted a book voucher or whatever else. I didn't have to do that just for me. But yeah, that when I heard about John Bishop being casted as the new companion, apparently they spoke to him well before lockdown, which means that it was well before Series 12 had finished, which means that all these things have been in place for a long time. Whether it was a success or a failure, it was a massive failure. Whether it was a success or a failure, all this was going to come to pass anyway. And I believe that all we are seeing with their insistence on inflicting another 8 episodes of this absolute crap on us is the fulfilling of contractual obligations. I think it's that simple.
Do you know what? I actually laughed when I heard about John Bishop. Now, nothing against John Bishop.
No, he's a nice guy.
He's an alright Canadian, he's got a personality. But he's not exactly a national name.
No.
And it just brought me back to, can you remember when they were gearing up for the promotion with Spyfall? And they had them announcements and you had to stay up for them. And it was announcing Stephen Fry and Lenny Henry. And I was like, all right, Stephen Fry. I was like, oh, the heck knows Lenny Henry out of the UK?
Stephen Fry, which we knew about anyway, because he'd already blurted that out. And Lenny Henry, who, let's be honest, if you hadn't worked out that Lenny Henry was a dead cert to be in Doctor Who under Chibnall's watch after having been in Broadchurch, everybody else from Broadchurch has been in Doctor Who under Chibnall. It was always going to happen. Lenny Henry, he's a local guy from the area that I live in, Surrey. I've met him a couple of times. He always seemed perfectly nice. And, he's said some things like, I'm not entirely sure about Lenny. What's going on there? Yeah. I've given to comic relief for the last 30 odd years. Thank you very much. But, yes, he's not, generally speaking, what you would call a name, is he?
And again, John Bishop is not going to save Doctor Who. Captain Jack couldn't save Doctor Who. Bradley Walsh is a national treasure. He couldn't save Doctor Who. But by all means,
people love that guy, but they didn't. Yeah, people love that guy, but they didn't want to watch him in Doctor Who. Otherwise, they would have done. And I think John Bishop is exactly the same. He can sell out a stand-up tour, a modest stand-up tour. He's no Peter Kay, but he can sell out a stand-up tour. I say he's perfectly nice guy. He's made me laugh for a time or two, which is no mean feat. I'm a miserable sod. So that's, well done, John. And, I'm sure he'll be okay. But as always, as the problem with Bradley Walsh found, it depends on the material. And, I don't really see how it's going to get any better.
What else it told me was that the BBC have no confidence in a show just with Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill, that they needed to bring somebody else in and another man.
Well, another thing that it tells me is, I'm going to share this image. This is a bit of artwork actually by who sent us this? This is Redhead Chinny. Redhead Chinny. We like this very much. So I'm going to share this now. Get it up on screen. And excuse me, bear with me one moment. So I think this would make a nice companion piece. There we are. So yes, we can. It's coming, everybody. It's coming. The moment is going to come. Yes. Sorry, Sarah, what are you saying?
No, I'm just admiring the picture.
Yes, the dream, magic moment. With how I look at it, with John Bishop, somebody like John Bishop is a very, very busy man. He just like Bradley Walsh before him, he is not going to have signed up indefinitely for this show. His arrival in the cast, the regular cast of Doctor Who, just like Matt Lucas, to me signifies the fact that that's a short-term contract. We know that Jodie Whittaker was contracted for 2 years. I believe. This is purely my gut instinct. Actually, nobody's told me this, but it makes sense to me that her contract has been extended for these 8 episodes. They booked John Bishop for these 8 episodes. Chris Chibnall, I know that originally that Chris Chibnall was only supposed to be around for. It's slightly different, isn't it? Because obviously he's in a role for a set period of time, regardless of how much Doctor Who he produces. He is the showrunner of Doctor Who for a set time, and they decide how much Doctor Who they commission from him. That's how it works, isn't it?
I think so. Well, I thought didn't he signed a 5-year contract?
It sounds feasible.
So if he signed that in 2017, and that it would mean his contract ends on 2020.
Sarah, do you want the even better news?
Go on.
Chris Chibnall's been in this role since 2016.
Has he really?
Yeah, he started work on this before Series 10 was shown. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. So we've got every reason. I think we've got every reason to be confident that with the John Bishop situation, with the Jodie Whittaker contract situation, I find it very difficult to believe that this actress would sign up potentially for another 2 or 3 years in this role, because times have changed. And before Doctor Who, I always liked Jodie Whittaker as an actress. Before Doctor Who, she was in demand. She was on the up. My guess is that her career has taken a big hit from being in this role, from being seen to publicly fail like this.
Yes.
And I think if she's to stand a chance of having a career after Doctor Who, she does need to get out now. So my instinct is it is all over. I've been saying this for months anyway. After these 8 episodes, John Bishop's casting, to me, would underline that. I think by all accounts, friends of ours have said, this is all well and good, and we're happy that she's probably going, but nothing will be fixed unless Chris Chibnall goes too. How do you feel about that?
I agree, absolutely. It's to the Jodie going, it's just, like I mentioned it in one of my comments, it's like spraying weed killer on a weed and just, getting the leaves. You've got to get down to the roots, and the roots is Chris Chibnall, but then it's also the entire philosophy with the BBC. So, I mean, even it depends who they get in afterwards, if they get anybody in. My gut feeling is there'll be a 60th anniversary special, and then it will be rested, and maybe that's not such a bad thing.
No, I'm inclined to agree. I think the part of the problem with this is when you go cap in hand to a creative, which they did to Chris Chibnall. They didn't know what to do with this show once Stephen Moffat was leaving. I mean, they persuaded Stephen to stay on for a further year, and God bless him, he did. He's very much in demand writer, loves Doctor Who, and he does love the fandom, even if we don't always love him back. But he stayed with it for the show. He made the last Christmas special for the show, for love of Doctor Who. I know they paid him a few quid, but Stephen Moffat is not short of a few quid. He wouldn't have done it unless he'd have wanted to, and unless he was thinking of a bigger picture. But with Chris Chibnall, I think it's different. I think it's completely and utterly a totally different kettle of fish. And let's be honest, the perception of this show, the business model, what this brand is worth now, just a few years later, significantly less. Everything has changed. Yeah. And I think that the public probably needed to take a rest. I think the BBC need to potentially take the time to find the right people, the right showrunner, and to look properly, not just to look around in the same clique, the same bunch of people for the one that they haven't given a job to yet. I think there are lots of people potentially out there, male and female writers, who would do amazing things with this show, with this format, and would serve this audience beautifully and with taste and with dignity and with respect.
I think if they had any sense, they would offer it to Pete McTee. To Pete McTee or Pete McTie, I don't know how you say it. Because the only episode that I watched more than once was his one, the Kablam one. But then the stuff that he's done for the Blu-rays, the little promotions that he's done for the classic Blu-rays have just been absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and he seems to be able to combine classic and new together. And I wasn't. He also did write Praxeus.
Yeah, the episode that sent me to sleep. sorry, Pete.
I think generally, he's a Doctor Who fan. Yeah. He's got experience show running because he did Wentworth, and he's in a couple of other shows, I think, as well.
I think he started on the Dr. Blake mysteries, which my mum, she loves Dr. Blake.
Yeah. You need to have that marriage of showrunning experience, and I think you do need to be with genre. You've got to be a fan. You've got to have that fan experience, that fan perspective. You need that connection, and I think that's what Chibnall's missing. There's no connection. I mean, even when you see his columns in Doctor Who magazine, which are few and far between, he just moans in them. He is so boring.
It is really, really strange. It's like reading a letter to an agony aunt in some sort of tabloid newspaper or silly magazine. It's very, very strange. It's as if he wants to feel sympathy for him, for his three-figure salary and dream job.
I don't have sympathy for anyone because they knew what they were getting into. They're being well paid for it. Jodie got the same salary as Peter Capaldi did, even though Peter Capaldi did 40 episodes, and that's not including his appearance, and at the end of Time of the Doctor, in Day of the Doctor, and in Class. Whereas Jodie, when she's finished, she'll have only done 30, and she's
been terrible in all of them.
Yeah, and she's not at the quantity. She's certainly not at the quality. So well done there, Jodie. She's going to be fine. She's well done for getting paid the same amount as Capaldi for doing crap.
for doing a job pretty much part time and to a mediocre standard. I completely agree. I mean, as regards, obviously, people are speculating. It's rife. It's less than 48 hours from when we record this. We're going to drop this pretty soon after we record it as well, so you should be getting it just a couple of hours later. Speculation is rife about who's going to take the role afterwards. I think it'll be a very long time until we have a 14th Doctor, until we have a new version of the show. And this is whether Chris Chibnall's in place or not. I can't see. It simply can't come out of the gate that quickly because they're having enough problems filming this series, which and this is no slight on the production team. We are in the middle of a pandemic. These are unprecedented times. I understand it's difficult for them to make it. That's cool. So how can they potentially start putting things into place for a series 14 when they're not even sure when they'll be able to finish making just these 8 episodes? For all we know, Sarah, they could be making these right down to the line. In fact, I would say that the real reason why they've been squashed from 11 down to 8 is simply because that's all that Jodie Whittaker was ever going to do anyway. They've got a reduced period of time. She's on to her next job. She's probably contractually obligated to it already because any agent worth their salt will have got her the next job afterwards. That happened for Tosin Cole. That was sorted out for Tosin. Good luck in the new job, by the way, Tosin. I'm sure
good luck, Tosin,
way better. So I think it's bound to happen with Jodie as well. They know how long they've got her for, and they think, okay, can we film 11 episodes in that time? Odds are not. Can we get 8 together? Yeah. So we'll lose that script, or lose that script. We'll condense it down and give people. We know that we can guarantee we can give people that. I mean, for all we know, that could be out the window now again, because we've had another lockdown. In fact, we've had 2 more lockdowns since then. It's going to send everything up in the air. They're insisting it's going to be broadcast next autumn. I don't know. They could show it in chunks, I suppose, couldn't they, Sarah?
Well, I heard that what was it, 7 episodes plus another special.
Another special, yeah. And she will go out on that special. Yeah. So that'll be special, all right.
I'll consider actually watching that one. Can you imagine though the regeneration? I mean,
I'm imagining.
What is it? No,
have you not got the general idea? I am imagining.
Well, no, because usually there's some flashback to like a really beautiful moment with a companion, and like that's me. They'll be like, she'll be there, getting ready to burst into flames. And Bradley Walsh is going to walk down the stairs and the tardis and go, thank you.
Do you know what's going to happen?
Doctor, for completely ignoring me when I needed you.
That's what's going to happen. She'll be holding back, just like she is in Redhead Chinny's picture here above. She'll be about to reach the look up the stairs, and Bradley Walsh, as Graham, whatever his name is, will walk in and go, "All right, cockle," and she'll say to him, Bradley, she'll say, Graham, sorry. She'll say, Graham, I'm regenerating again. I'm really, really scared. I don't know what to do. And he'll say, can't help you, love. I'm socially awkward. And then he'll do one. And I won't blame. And then she'll burst into flames. And the nation, the fandom will cheer. Yes. Make it happen, Chris. This is it. You can have that one for free, Chris. Yes. Oh, dear. Let's give Sarah a moment of food. We shouldn't laugh. I think stranger things have happened.
I think that is beautiful. I think that's award winning.
A little tear, just a little tear there. I do care. I do still care after all.
Oh dear.
Yes, this story's not going to go away. This story's not going to go away, J-Bots. I'm sorry. And for all the people out there who are upset that she's leaving, of course I get that. And I have a heart. I may not have 2, but I have a heart. I get it. There are people, a fraction of the fandom, who genuinely like what she's done and have enjoyed it. And I can find enough within me to say, I'm sorry you're losing your doctor. And I hope you enjoy the next one. I hope you're served better by the next one. You stick with the show. The odds are against it with a lot of them because they're here for the wrong reasons, let's be honest. But I know there's bound to be a few that do.
I do feel because there are some that I've joined, not many, but there are some that I've joined because, there was a female doctor. And I feel bad for them that, like you said, they weren't saved. It's just been one disappointment after another. And the entire experiment's been a failure when a female doctor could have worked. I didn't like it personally, but I mean, like Missy, I didn't like the idea of Missy being the master, but the good writing and Michelle Gomez convinced me over the 3 years. And I thought she was amazing in series 10, and she convinced me. And I thought, well, if she can do it, Jodie, somebody could have done it, but no, Jodie was the wrong person. It was for the wrong reasons. And I don't know whether they're going to think twice about doing a female one or whether they're going to try again.
I don't know. And I won't go over it all again because I've talked about it quite a lot on the podcast, on the streams before, but I will repeat that I can accept that my belief that this character should always have been played by a man, that the gender swap gimmick was completely unnecessary. That's my belief. That will always be my belief. And for me, the Doctor is a male part that will always be best played by a man. That being said, I'm big enough and I'm reasonable enough. I'm a creative. I've worked in the media. I have written things. I know that my take on that is subjective. I know that. other people's viewpoints are perfectly valid, and I am generous enough. I'm fair-minded enough to realise that there are some actresses out there who could find this role within them, who could play the Doctor. But Jodie Whittaker, you weren't one of them, and let's just see how this plays out now. I think we'll have plenty of time to speculate further and to perform the autopsy on this era. It will probably be going on for the rest of our natural lives, I suspect, because that's what tends to happen with Doctor Who. We're still talking about Paul McGann's kiss in 1996. So this is going to be something that's not going to go away.
No.
But this is obviously just our opening shot on this whole subject. So much more is still to come. We'll probably talk about it on Type 40 Live, because this is us winding down Type Over 40, and there are going to be more two-handed conversations like this if Sarah's game enough to come and talk to me. There's one born every minute. Sarah's game to come and talk to me again, or whoever else. Whether it's two people talking or three or whatever else. We're going to try and keep it a bit more interesting on the channel, on the Spacebook, and on Type 40. But Type Over 40 itself will sort of be politely retired while we play with the Type 40 Live format a bit more, because we know that people prefer live stuff. One other thing I wanted to remind you about, though, Sarah, before we wrap this up, is that in those live streams, we talked a few weeks ago about the casting of one particular actress for Series 13 for these 8 episodes. And I believe that this is cast iron, nailed on now, that and I think we went with this in around November, that Parminder Nagra it is playing the Doctor in Series 13. Now, I've been saying for a very long time that in Series 13, this is on the podcast, it's on the live show, so it's all there for people to hear. That in Series 13, that Chris Chibnall will introduce one, probably two, maybe even more forgotten Doctors. It would seem to be that Parminder Nagra has been cast as a forgotten Doctor. That's what we've assumed. But maybe, and I have to say that perhaps this is, she's been cast as the Doctor. The tweets were taken down, very, from other actors, people who would be in the know. It's all, it's virtually 100% that Parminder's playing the Doctor in Series 13. But has she secretly been cast, John Bishop style, in advance? Has she potentially been cast as Jodie Whittaker's replacement? It seems unlikely to me, because the commitment to a role like this is so whole, and it's going to take up 10 months of somebody's year filming it. So it seems unlikely to me, but it's not impossible, is it? What do you think about the Parminder Nagra situation?
It's not impossible. I mean, if you look at Jenna Coleman, maybe it's testing the waters. Maybe she's coming as a future incarnation. To be honest, and I don't really care. I don't.
It is hard.
I've seen her in other things. She's a brilliant actress.
I like her.
It doesn't interest me. He can cast whoever he wants as a Doctor, but for me, there's only 12 Doctors. That's all I've got to say.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable position to have, but I think it's only fair that we do remind people that, and we didn't break this. Who came with this? Was it either Talk to Who or the TARDIS Zone? I can't remember who broke this first. It was one of those two guys. One of those two guys have always got their fingers on the pulse. I think it was one of those YouTube channels. I'm not entirely sure. So yes, whichever it was, let us know in the comment section, somebody, because it's only fair to credit them. But this has never been denied, and all the dots are joining up. Where will they lead? What's going on? I want to remind everybody, after nearly an hour. Can you believe we've been talking for an hour?
So incredible.
God, yes.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
I just thought, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. She does have a look of Yaz about her. Now my mind's going like, is this going to be like a grown up, an older Yaz?
Oh, maybe Yaz has quit the police force, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I think that because the lady in question who broke the news, who broke the trust and said that Parminder was playing the Doctor, I think because she was so expressly stated that, I've never questioned it. But who knows? Maybe she has been cast as another character altogether, or could be a Doctor. Like who knows? Can't wait to see how this all plays out. I'm not particularly interested in what, like you say, I'm not particularly interested in what happens in Doctor Who itself, because as long as Chris Chibnall's running the show, this man clearly is not going to give up on his agenda anytime soon, and he seems to have free reign to destroy, to weaken, and to piss people off in the way that he's want to do. So whatever goes on screen is sort of by the by. What's going on off screen, I'm a little bit more interested in, and we'll continue to watch and listen and ask you about it too. And while we've got you here, can you please, if you haven't already, like this video, get 2021 off to a great start, show your gratitude, and please throw us a like, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, because there's more Doctor Who talk coming up. Type 40 Live is on its way back, as is Type 40 Hits itself. Lots of places to find our Doctor Who content, our Star Trek content. That's coming back too. My God, I've got to watch the rest of Discovery. The things I do.
You're on your own with that.
And we have other content coming up too. Lots of exciting TV shows. We had a brilliant time talking about Mandalorian with our friend, the mega geek, Ian David Diaz. So we'll be talking about more. Not quite sure. More Disney Plus stuff, I think, with Ian on that particular stream, and Keith Isles and all our other friends. We're going to rope all those people in. Anybody who wants to join in, really. We're going to have a laugh on a Saturday evening talking about whatever. That's coming up too. What else we got?
I think if the BBC are smart, they need to really pay attention to what's going off with Disney at the moment, as with the Mandalorian series too.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I don't even think it's just Disney. I think if CBS All Access or Paramount Plus, whatever they're going to call themselves, if they were smart, they'd be looking at The Mandalorian. If the BBC were smart, and Jesus is that if the BBC were smart and you didn't have the license fee, which meant you'd got this massive pot of billions already and guaranteed, then they should be looking at The Mandalorian as well. And they should be thinking about how they could potentially turn back the clock, walk some of this nonsense back, and reconnect with what's left of the Doctor Who audience while we are still relatively invested in the brand. The fact that we still talk about it, the fact that we still make content about it, the fact that we latch on to other things, good stuff out there that people are doing, either licensed stuff like the K9 official stuff, or Big Finish, or other fan projects that capture our imaginations, and that they're the things that are pushing Doctor Who forward into 2021. Nothing that Chris Chibnall is doing. So I'm going to be watching, for all we know, a new asset, a new angle to this story. It may have broken while we've been recording this. It's very, very early days. We may get a denial, but I don't think we will. I think this is actually going to happen. And happy days may well be here, because yes, although Jodie Whittaker's departure will not solve the problem, we have 2 or 3 problems compounding on top of one another that have created this absolute shit show that we've been forced to watch through our loyalty to this brand and to this show over the last 2 or 3 years. Stick with us for more talk about it. We'll get you through. Well, you can get us through. Bit of both, eh? Let us know what you think in the comments section. I'm going to mention this too. I'm going to mention this one too. Where is it? Yes, Blake 7. Teleporter Blake 7 podcast. Yes, episode 4 of this may have dropped. No, it won't. It'll be dropping by the end of the week. And I've got another great guest in to talk about Blake 7. This show goes from strength to strength. I love that you love it too. There's been more episodes recording. We're going to keep this going through 2021 as well. We love Blake 7. Most Doctor Who fans do, I think. Sarah, there's lots to talk about. You're going to come on and talk about Blake 7 with me, aren't you?
What I think to Blake 7, I absolutely love it.
Yes, I can't wait. And another thing I want to remind people of, or point people in the right direction of, because if happy days are indeed here again, you're going to want to start planning your party. You're going to want to start planning your party fairly soon, aren't you? So, I'm going to say that these are available. We have, party poppers. You can buy them in bulk, in advance. So, stock up on the booze, just like Starry-Eyed Girl here. You want to get the big bottles and the small bottles, alcoholic or non-alcoholic. It doesn't really matter. A bit of bubbly, a bottle of Schlur for the kids, maybe whatever they fancy. Get it all in. Treat the family. And you're going to want to decorate your house and buy these in bulk. You can get reductions on the postage and packing. The more of these you order, the cheaper it gets. Let's send Little Miss Rainbow, Dr. Karen, let's send her off with a giant, colourful 2 fingers. And there'll be a link to all of this in the show notes. Well, we don't have a deal going with Party Delights, so I'm sure you could find your own if need be. But yeah, we're going to make this as easy for you as possible to celebrate with us.
Brands of party poppers are available.
They are indeed. I think we've had enough fun for now. It's Sarah's crying again. Yeah, is there anything else you want to plug? Where can people see and hear you next, Sarah? I've sort of lost track.
Goodness. I'm going to be on Bluebonnet Hoovin's channel at the weekend. We are continuing our Bob Holmes discussion, and we're up to Earlyton Baker. So we're starting with the Ark in Space, and I cannot wait for that. I'm also doing Claws of Axos read along with the Script Doctors, so that's the Script Doctors channel. You can also find it on Mr. Hyde's channel. I think I'm also doing something with Doctor Who chat. I can't keep up.
You can't keep up. She's everywhere.
I'm also on Loki's show tomorrow.
Hiya, Loki. He's just did his first anniversary, isn't he, Loki?
Yeah, yes, it was yesterday. 1 year of Loki, and he's just come on so much leaps and bounds.
Well done, Loki.
And we're discussing this very subject. And I'm happy to. I'm happy to, celebrate this news.
Just imagine how it's going to be when it actually is news, when it's not rumor anymore, when it is news. And let's be realistic. That could be quite a long time.
Yeah.
The Daily Mirror, they broke the news that Bradley Walsh was going to be in Doctor Who nearly a full calendar year before the press call confirming that Bradley Walsh was going to be in Doctor Who. We may not hear about Jodie Whittaker's departure until next September. I think that's quite likely. But the ripples, the fact there's no denial, the acceptance out there, even from Jodie Whittaker fans who know in their heart of hearts, they know deep down this hasn't worked. The game is up. Time is up, Jodie. Doesn't it feel great to say that?
How much has this blown up in the last 48 hours? This has got more coverage than the actual episode.
More people have talked about Doctor Who in the last 24 to 48 hours than they have since Rosa, since week 3 of series 11. And it's not stopping. It's people are speculating. Yes, they've got the silly suggestions are coming thick and fast already. We know this. We know the drill. That's all part of the fun, I think, Sarah.
We have to start doing another bingo again. Chris Marshall will get mentioned again, and the usual stuff.
Team Marshall. I'm going to get the T-shirt for Chris Marshall. Or a giant mural behind me for when I have to take. It's 12th night as I'm recording this, so sadly, all my Christmas paraphernalia has got to go away. And yes, with the renovations on this place start as well, so I may get that frieze, that big mural of Chris Marshall. I think get that up. Yeah, okay. Well, I think that does wrap us up for now. But one last reminder: please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Type 40 Live back next week here on the Spacebook, and the Type 40 podcast coming up soon. But for now, that's us signing out. Happy New Year in more ways.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.